This is A to Z 117.
Today's guest is Stephan Oak, author of the Jett Landry book series.
It's like they're trying to be too meta.
We're gonna make them an offer they can't refuse.
Much better.
Yeah. You can buy you a drink. You can just not well, I mean, he did pick out somebody we know.
Well, you sidestepped the question. That technology does not exist.
Hey, everybody, I'm Zach. I'm here with my co-host, Aaron.
What up?
Welcome to A to Z Podcast, where we sit down with the folks that make Southeast Texas a better place to live.
And if you're new to the show, thanks for checking us out. A to Z can be found anywhere regular podcasts can be found. We are on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on Apple Podcast apps, Google Podcast apps, Podbean.
I think we're going to be on Amazon soon.
Oh yeah, Amazon.
Music, yeah.
Just, man, come on. Everywhere that podcasts are available, we are there. We have a website, a2zpodcast.com. You can go for show notes, full list of things there.
Oh, that's right. Oh, we also have a phone number, though, 409-206-2971, 409-206-2971. You can call us, you can leave a voicemail, you can text us, send us photos, videos, whatever you'd like.
Whatever you would like.
It's a fun way to interact.
They may be featured on this show.
And in addition to all that, we wanted to just get it out ahead. Next week, we are going to be announcing something very special.
Yeah, an event. So stay tuned. It's going to be a big event.
It's going to be
pretty cool.
It's going to be a big event. And if you go to the Creek Cleanup this weekend, just want to remind you, if you go to the Creek Cleanup, you might get a little something extra special. We're going to the art studio directly after. But for all that, we're going to be talking to Stephan Oak.
That's right.
Stephan Oak.
Well, okay, so we'll go ahead and just say right now that we have a hard time with Stephan because it is a pseudonym. It's a pen name, right?
Yeah.
Our good buddy, Steve Fitzner, he came back and sat down with us, but not for his day job this time. During quarantine, he's been writing a whole book series.
He's writing the second one. Okay, yeah.
We get into all that. But you know, he's using his time wisely.
Self-published author out of Southeast Texas wrote a book about a coming-of-age tale and a newly discovered dad, somebody who didn't know he had a kid and is raising him, and we talk about all the dynamics of how you would write something like that. It's a fun episode.
That's right.
And I think you're going to enjoy it. Stick around for the end, and we're going to do some other things.
It's also spoiler-free, so don't worry about it if you want to read the book. He's very good about not giving spoilers, and he will tell you exactly where you can buy it. Listen all the way to the end, like Zach said. We're going to have some stuff coming to you.
All right.
All right.
Mode for this thing.
Before we start, it's not like obviously clearly you're here, so it's not a secret. You're not having a pen pseudonym.
Sorry, yeah.
You don't have a pen pseudonym because you don't want to be recognized, right?
No,
Okay.
I wanted to separate it from my professional career.
Okay.
So people wouldn't think it was a psychology type book, or
I got you. Okay, that
or
makes
would
sense.
just think, oh, this must be very psychologically correct because Steve wrote it. You know.
I got you. I just want to make sure,
Yeah.
because
Of
we could
course, I'm
like
sure it is
we could
psychologically correct in ways.
Not for therapeutically or clinically, that you know. And
But
if it
It's not
sucked,
going to
I
solve
could-
your drug addiction.
but criminally though.
if it totally sucked, I could disassociate myself from it. I was like, man, I don't know who that guy is. I didn't write that shit.
Yeah, not me.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Welcome back to the show,
Steve.
Mr.
Yeah,
Oak.
welcome back.
Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all having me back.
Yeah, man. So it's funny. I'll go ahead and say this. It's funny because we're running a little late, but it's because you went to Zach's house instead of coming here.
Because the last time you were here.
Last time you were on the show, we were literally in Zach's kitchen.
And because he texted me the address to send the books.
Yeah.
So I just
Oh,
assumed
right, you
that's
just
where I had
assumed.
to go. So,
Yeah.
so I was sitting there knocking on the door and texting, and he was texting back. I was like, no, I'm
I
right
don't
outside the door.
see you, man. Where
walked
you
outside, I was
at?
like-
I don't see you.
Oh my God.
So, sorry, that's our fault for assuming.
It happens.
But you're
cool.
here, man. You're here.
Yeah.
And this time, we're not talking about psychology. We're talking about a book that you wrote.
Yeah, that's my, always trying to do different things with myself, music, psychology, now writing,
Yeah. So what? I mean, how long you just dropped this thing? Like
Yeah,
a
this
few
thing's
months back?
big,
Yeah,
dog.
It was February.
February.
Yeah, February 29th.
Great
yeah.
year to drop a book.
Yeah.
Hey, people are staying inside. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably is again. Yeah.
It seems that way, but
I feel like reading has gone up.
So what's the story behind this thing? Like what got you? I mean, you must have been writing it for a while.
it's been about 3 years since I started working on it. Or so
Have you told anybody? You've just been keeping it to yourself?
I kept it to myself for quite a while, and I started telling just people like around me, until I knew I was actually going to finish it, pull it off, you know. Because at first it was kind of like, I'm going to start this, but I don't know if I might get to the point where I'm like, man, I'm not getting to work.
You don't want to be that guy that's like, I'm writing a novel.
Yeah. Like 20 years later. No, I'm still writing it.
Still working on it.
So I just, I kind of dropped out of sight for a while. And, I hadn't been out for a while because I've been staying home working on it. Because I just kind of, when I get into something, I get kind of obsessed. I just throw myself
That's a good and bad quality. Yeah.
It worked for this, but it can be bad for a social life or a relationship, because I walked into the logon one day and Chantel was like, where the hell you been? I haven't seen you in forever, and I've been working on this. So, I just, once I realized that, okay, I'm actually going to do this, I'm actually going to publish this book, then I started telling people about it.
Yeah.
Until then,
that almost even makes you be held accountable, right? When you start telling people, then you're like, all right, I guess, that's it.
For me, I have to do it at that point.
Yeah,
it's a safe face, otherwise, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah,
that's like,
hey, Steve, how's that book coming?
Right.
Yeah.
Because after about 6 months, people start kind of like, how's the book coming, Steve?
Like, are you an author yet?
Right.
Yeah.
But I worked on it pretty diligently. Once I got the idea for the story and started shaping it, and writing it. And,
was that the beginning of the idea of this book? What was it? An idea, or was it the development of a character?
It was actually
or a situation.
It was actually the prologue.
Okay.
I was going to the open mic poetry nights at the Logon every Monday night. First Monday of the month, they used to have them, and all these people were reciting poetry, and I would just for fun, I would do song lyrics, and then the Beaumont Enterprise came out and did like a little. They took pictures of everybody on stage, and they did my picture first, and I was on the cover of the article saying Beaumont poet Steve Fitzner. Like, whoa, wait a minute.
Well, hold on. I was just goofing.
Right, I was doing lyrics about a rap song about Star Wars. So how did I become taken seriously? But one night I thought, well, I'm going to write something that's not a song, but I'm going to write something for the open mic. But something that's more unique to me. I've always loved like the old school film noir movies. Like I say that word right, or a friend of mine will get mad at me.
Noir.
Yeah, noir. Yeah, noir. Film noir. We say in Texas.
Noir.
Or noir. Yeah.
Noir.
I thought I'm going to write like a little narrative, like the beginning of an old movie, with the guy sitting at the bar and kind of bemoaning his luck, And I did it sitting at the bar of the Logon. I just ordered like some whiskey on the rocks, and so that's where I got that, whiskey, Coke, and whiskey. Hold the Coke, make it a double, And so it kind of almost, I was writing it with, with a pen on a spiral. So it was almost kind of like that moment, you know? And I wrote it, and 20 minutes later, I was reciting it, And so I wrote that, and I thought, man, that sounds like the beginning of a story. But for about a year, I couldn't think of a story to attach to it. Everything I thought of sounded like something that was already done, There's like tons and tons of novels and movies, and like Raymond Chandler and, writers like that had written these, these kinds of characters. So then I thought, well, what if this guy finds out that he got somebody pregnant and he has a kid and he has to raise his kid, So I used the character from the intro, who was a black woman that walks in, and so that gives him a biracial daughter. Yeah. So I made it a daughter because he's going to have a teenage daughter now. So he's got.
It makes it even harder to kind of like relate to and everything, because you're just girls. You don't even know how to take care of a kid, let alone a girl. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and dealing with all the the things that go. I don't even understand how to take care of a kid like that. A teenage girl. I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be calling my sister and my mom, constantly. She's in her room and she won't come out. What do I do? But so I thought, well, let's throw on this curve, but let's keep it within the realm of what that kind of a story is. So the daughter is Jett. That's her name, and that's my name for my cat. And so I'm just going to name her after my cat, so my cat can live on in infamy, or whatever. But so her name is Jett. And she's a very good student. Her mother died when she was 10, forcing her to go live with her dad, that she didn't even know anything about him. She didn't even know he was white. She didn't know she was biracial. So she's suddenly having to make this huge adjustment at the age of 10. Now, the first chapter starts at the age of 14. So you kind of learn about that just as she talks about it, So she goes to this school, and the school was kind of carefully crafted to resegregate, their city, and it was as part of a kind of a, I guess you can say, a conspiracy to put all the wealthy kids in one school in one part of town and exclude everybody else, and by virtue,
it sounds like there's a real life analogous to this, but I can't figure it out.
white flight in the 80s, maybe, but a little more sinister because they're recreating that, in the middle of a city that's pretty diverse. You have a group of people that are trying to create their own, basically taxpayer funded private school for wealthy kids. But by virtue of where Jett lives, which is in the downtown part of Port City, Texas, which is the name of the city.
I wonder what that's supposed to be.
Right. any city on a port, the downtown, she lives in her dad rents a flat above his office in a building downtown. So he's like the only person that lives downtown, which suits him just fine because he doesn't really want to be around people.
Right,
He's
right.
one of those kinds of, So, and that's where she lives. So she's the only kid that lives there. And that just happens to fall into their school zone. So she has to go to that school, which most of the kids are, they're no big deal either way. But there's a small group of kids at the school that harass and bully her because she's different, because she stands out, And the fact that she makes better grades than all the other kids and she's incredibly intelligent just makes it worse because, this whole idea that we're going to resegregate all these kids, these like privileged kids, and then use this to, I'm using air quotes, prove that they do better than everybody else because we're giving them all these resources. And now like the one kid that's not like all these kids is outdoing them in everything, which just makes it a lot worse. And so that's what the first half of the book is about.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
the
So
bullying.
are you telling like two separate storylines? You're telling Jett Landry and then her father. What's her father's name?
Marcus Jackson.
Marcus Jackson. So are you telling like their different stories and then they're intertwining?
Yeah, mainly Jett's story, but towards the second half of the book, it starts to work her dad's story in. She starts learning more about her past, about her dad's relationship with her mom, and why they had to separate. Why they couldn't talk to each other all those years. She starts learning more about the city she lives in because her dad knows all the secrets of the city, and his character is not liked by the people that created the school district. Not because of the school district, because they're the people that run the city. And he knows things that gets revealed as the series goes on about them that he just can't prove yet.
Yeah.
And they know he knows it. And there's a reason they know he knows it. And you'll learn, again, I don't want to give spoilers away.
Right.
But there's a reason they know that he knows it. And so there's this tension between him and the elites in town.
Yeah.
Because they're
like a good story, like a good story about like, living in a city.
It's just like a noir slow burn, right?
Yeah.
With all good good detective stories, you want to like put a little on the table to tease what things are and just do a little bit of foreshadowing, but then you have to go through the investigation part too, because you as the reader, you're like following along and you're making these discoveries along the way.
Yeah.
And that's a really
always love the big reveal.
It's a really interesting mechanic. And a lot of writers where they fall short is they'll start spoon feeding their audience.
Yeah.
Because you're so excited when you're writing, you're like, here, take this information. But sometimes when you parse it out and just like give it out as the characters learn it, it's really satisfying to read.
Yeah.
That's what's really satisfying about the old noir films and all those old detective films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and I try to do that, and I try to stay more focused on Jett's experience, but she starts to experience and observe things outside of the school that starts to kind of helps her put the pieces together. She starts to make friends. Again, I don't want to give spoilers away. I'm dangerously close to that, so I got to stop.
All right,
but
we have to read it.
But that's kind of the process. The second half of the book is her starting to learn more about what's going on.
Yeah,
and also learning more about what the dad's doing outside of her that he doesn't want her to know about, but ideally this book is about a father and his daughter and their relationship, and then the other people that he brings into her life to help him raise her, because he can't do it by himself. Like the third character, the woman kind of hiding around the corner here, her name is Ashley Garcia, and that's his business partner. They run the detective agency together.
Oh, okay.
So the old-fashioned detective is starting to become more modern. He's got a teenage kid, he partners with the woman. He doesn't want to have her work for her, so he partners with her.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
And she also helps him raise Jett. She becomes kind of the mother figure.
Like a
for
surrogate.
Jett.
She's kind of like the sidekick that also helps out with the family. And that's kind of a common, kind of almost kind of trope in some of these movies like this. Huh?
So is there like a will they, won't they vibe between those two characters?
I didn't want to, I wasn't trying to write a romance novel.
You didn't want to cheese it.
But I'll just say that people have read it and have various opinions of that. Like some people say, I think there's something going on.
Okay.
And, and I'm not going to lie. I
That's
did
good feedback.
left some clues
That is
either
good,
way. So people can
that's
figure
good.
out,
It's good that you didn't cheat,
Yeah.
When you were writing this, how hard was it to write a teenage girl? Because obviously, we're all adult men. Like I've never been a teenage girl.
Yeah.
I could not imagine writing, like getting in the headspace and writing realistic dialogue, situations. The way that this character would even just react and feel about anything. That seems very challenging.
You had to
me.
do to get into that space.
Yes and no. I have two older sisters, so growing up, I was around teenage girls all the time because they always had their friends over, and so there's that. When I was in junior high school, I was the guy who had lots of female friends. All my best friends were usually girls, and I wasn't messing around with them. We're just friends, and I liked that. I enjoyed that. But so I remember that too. I remember hearing all the stuff they talked about and talking to me about it, and so there's that. But really, I tried to stay focused on the characters as individuals first, and then kind of extrapolate from there. Yeah. There were times where I'd call a friend up and say, "So I'm writing this novel, and what do you think? What do you think? How do you think this character would react to this? Just at an immediate level, just to kind of consult with people. Yeah. I did a lot of talking to people that had experiences I've never had, to in a lot of levels, but that was one of them. To like, you have a teenage daughter. How do you think what would her and her friends do if like if they had would they tell you about all this stuff? And she'd be like, oh, I'd never hear about it.
Just keep it secret. Yeah, just keep it locked away.
I snooped their Facebook, everything. And, just like teenagers, her and her friends are like,
you had to get that like sort of parental side too. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
And a lot of it's written, even though only the prologue is in the first person narrative, but it's still a lot of it's written through the eyes of the father.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So the perception of Jett is how her dad sees her, even though I'm the one writing it.
Well, that makes more sense that it's the perception of Jett is how you're seeing her.
Yeah. Yeah, and so
not fully understanding, just
puts a level of separation there too, in an air of mystery, and as a reader, yeah.
When you get to the second book, you get more into her head. The second book should come out probably about sometime September.
Really, that fast?
Oh yeah, I have nothing else to do right now.
So did you? So when you were coming up with this idea, you obviously had the idea from writing multiple books. Mm-hmm. Have you been writing them all at the same time this whole time?
Yeah. When I wrote this one. And I edited myself, which I've learned the hard way. That's a very challenging thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I did, because I couldn't find an editor that I could afford at the time. So I thought, well, I downloaded all this software, Grammarly, for a writer's guide. So I downloaded all the software to use that edit set that kind of evaluates it and edits it, even though you have to be really careful not to let it
just do its own
mechanical thing. You have to look at every change.
It's a tool.
Right, because sometimes you read what it edits, you're like, that
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It misunderstood that verb,
or it might make characters sound too similar. I know you take a creative license when you're writing with certain characters. I mean, if you were writing a character that was based on me, I hope it wouldn't have proper grammar because it wouldn't be accurate, so you have to pepper those in, not everything in a novel.
Did you say accurate?
Accurate, yeah. And not everything would be accurate.
I think a word's in there, actually.
Accurate,
But,
accurate.
so I...
Another one.
So while I was editing, I would have to take breaks. Like, I got to just set this aside for a little while.
Yeah.
But I had I'd already kind of worked out in my head what all three books are. It's a trilogy to start with.
Yeah.
How it begins and ends, because it's one long story, it's separated into three books in 3 periods of time. So I already kind of had that figured out in my head. So I would start writing the second one when I was taking a break from editing the first one.
So you can kind of,
Yeah, it also gave me perspective. My mind was still fresh on the first one. It gave me perspective on writing the second one. Yeah. But the second one went a lot faster than the first one because I already knew the story.
Yeah, all the groundwork
and
done.
You had probably. Also, I mean, this being your first book you ever wrote, you kind of figured out what your flow is, and like point A, point B, point A,
Yeah.
and you might have figured out this is how I want it to flow. So it's like you change your brakes on one side, then it takes like 3 hours. And the second side takes like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from using the software too, because every correction linked you to a website that would explain why these issues were important in writing, things I never thought of before. So I'd read every one of those websites and try to learn as much as I could.
Just self-educating while you're doing this.
Pretty much. Yeah, trying to structure a story. Like how do you write a story that people are gonna want to read? And that's what a lot of it was how to make it more readable, how to streamline it. This probably would have been a lot bigger if I hadn't done that. 'Cause I took a lot of stuff out. And a lot of
it's thicker than I thought it was.
You mean like you were like trimming the fat and you were like editing out just redundancies or
that? And I was looking at whatever didn't really contribute to the story. Directly contribute. I took out because you can go down a lot of
side plot lines that you just wholesale cut out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or like a whole chapter where they're like. They're just outside on a summer day or something.
Yeah, because you think that stuff works when you write it, and you can think of a purpose for writing it, and then when you read it, it's kind of like you feel kind of like this just went off in a direction.
You got pulled out of the story.
And I never went back and used it for anything by the end of the book. So I thought, well, I'm just gonna delete it before I can talk myself out of it. Delete first, ask questions later. It's kind of as my philosophy. Yeah. Because I didn't want to have all these
little pieces are your babies, though. It's really hard to get rid of them.
Some of it, yeah. Some stuff you look at and you go, it's kind of cheesy. It's totally unnecessary.
Maybe you can have a departure, like an aside from these books.
Yeah. Series of short stories maybe that take place.
Series of short stories that take place in the same city. Something like that. That'd be fun.
I've thought about that because I do actually have I did take some time to write, and it was only for me to be able to tell the story in this book, in the books to come. I wrote the story of the time Dad and Mom spent together before they had to go their separate ways.
Oh, wow.
As a separate kind of a novelette. But I did it just so I would have a story to refer back to.
Right. So for an exercise, yeah.
But it came out not bad. So I haven't edited or worked on that yet, but I have it. And actually would be kind of a nice little, side story.
It's so crazy that you wrote a short story just to have a reference for a book.
That's how obsessive I can get.
That's how these things get made.
Yeah.
Well, and it was to make sure that anything I did was consistent. It had to come from that story. So that was my guide. So that way people wouldn't read it and be, I thought he said in this chapter.
You had like contradictory things.
Yeah.
I see that.
So I wanted the backstory to make perfect sense.
So it's fair to say that I'm sure this is a very character-driven book, right? And not just book, but series. Yeah. Like really probably more than even the mechanics and stuff is the characters themselves. Yeah,
especially Jett. It's her story because it's called Jett Landry, but it's her origin story, so to speak. These first 3 books, and it leaves the door open to write more if I want to do that.
Yeah, and I was asking before we even started, but I was under the impression this was young adult, and you said it's not young adult. It's
when I wrote it, I didn't have a genre in mind. I'm just gonna write this.
Yeah.
And then once I wrote it, it's like, okay, now I've got to put it in a genre. And I researched all the genres, and it didn't really fit in any of them. I'm like, well, it could be young adult, but young adult usually has like a romance.
Yeah.
I kind of left that out because I didn't think that was necessary for the story. I felt like that Jett wasn't really prepared for that at this point in her life.
You didn't really. You didn't really write this book thinking of a genre in the first place.
Not at all.
So
I was just writing it. And I'll say this: I wanted to write I want this to become a Pulp Fiction series, which is just kind of, it's a harsh and kind of a tough world kind of thing. And you got these characters that have a past. This is her past.
Yeah.
This is what guides her character in the future. Just kind of like the old film noir movies. Noir. Oh, my friend Tori's gonna correct me if I don't say it right.
How do you pronounce noir?
Noir. Yeah, noir. Yeah, or noir, as we say in Texas. Noir.
Noir.
But I wanted her to be, I want, again, without spoilers, I want this to be that kind of a vibe for the books. Where it is kind of dark and mysterious and hard. You know, everyone lives hard lives. There's good guys and bad guys, and bad guys do really bad things, you know, and then good guys have to do bad things sometimes, you know, to fight the bad guys. And, you know, this is kind of a passing of the torch in a sense. From
I see.
her dad to Jett, you know, as she becomes an adult.
So like they might have been estranged, but she obviously has that detective DNA.
Yeah, and then she has at 10 years old she goes to live with him, and that's when she starts to realize they're a lot alike.
Yeah.
You know, she starts realizing that they are similar in a lot of ways. You know, they're both obsessive, they're both perfectionists, they both feel like they have to get things right. You know, they both kind of keep people at a distance. You know, they both have this kind of anti-hero mentality where they don't really want to be the hero, but they just can't seem to help themselves. You know, they gotta go stick their neck out for people. You know, they both kind of go a little too far sometimes. You know, they both don't know. You know, and her dad would say, you know, and this is a quote I took out of the book, but her dad would tell her at some point, "I've never met a problem I couldn't punch in the mouth," because that's kind of his solution to a lot of problems. you know. So
it's very roguish.
Yeah. You know, like, you know, the first chapter, that's when she reveals to him that she's being bullied, and she's embarrassed because he's kind of a tough guy.
Yeah.
She's afraid he'll be disappointed in her. And again, this came out of the book, but when she asked him, "Dad, what would you do if someone did this to you?" He'd be like, "Fuck it, I'd punch him in the face." They only do it once, I promise you that. And he's like, "Okay, but you're a girl. I'm not sure I can tell you that." You know? And then I took that part out, but you know, he does teach her how to throw a punch.
Yeah.
That's, you know, he's like, "Well, if they put their hands on you, you can defend yourself.
Yeah.
I'll back you up," you know. And you know, so he does teach her how to do that. Of course, you know, then she decides she's going to take karate, and you know, then she gets obsessed with that, you know, and pretty soon she can fight better than all the boys in school. You know, and even though she tries not to, but she gets that from her dad, you know, like it's like, "Oh, I can punch him in the mouth. Okay, cool." You know.
So what? I mean, you get a big kick out of building these characters. You probably care about these characters at this point.
It's amazing how people that don't exist you can get attached to them.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah.
It is weird. It's really, really weird. You know.
I mean, we've been learning that from playing D&D like the last few months.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We really give a shit about our characters.
Yeah. And you know, and you feel bad for them when they go through trials and tribulations
that you
that's
put
what
them
makes
through.
I know, it's right. You actually create a problem. I put them at the center of it, and then I'm like, man, I feel like a dick. You know. You know?
Hey man.
Oh,
you know.
sorry.
No, I'm just saying. Hey, you know, diamonds are made with pressure. That's just how it is.
You know. And
imagine how boring a book would be if there was no problems.
Yeah, true. It would
Wasn't
be
it Jane Eyre or something? Pride and Prejudice.
They have. Well,
they lived in Victorian times.
They have their own problems.
Everybody was pretty bad.
We just don't think they're problems, but they have their own problems. You know, everyone. You know, people's problems are very unique to them, to who's dealing with them.
Yeah. And, you know, and Jett has to deal with a lot of racism in the book, and that's a big issue too.
Was there? Did you get any kind of negative feedback writing for a character of color? I guess you could say.
No, actually the opposite. You know, I was kind of, you know, wondering how that was going to go, you know. And I tried to be as accurate as I could about things. And so what I did was I talked to a lot of people who were in a situation similar to hers. You know, like here's this school with all these white kids, and you have just one kid gets introduced who's not white. You know, and I talked to them, like, you know, and heard their stories. And their stories were amazingly similar to what I was writing, you know, that most of the kids were cool, but there's a few kids, you know, that are really mean to me, and they just seem to get away with it a lot. And if I do anything back, I get in trouble, and everybody gets mad at me like I'm the bad guy. And that really happens, and it happens today, you know. And, you know, so I started realizing that, but that and everything else that you read and you watch on TV and you watch the news and you learn from talking to people, and more importantly, listening to people, that systemic racism exists, and it hasn't gone anywhere, and people still suffer because of it. And I learned that, you know, talking to people, listening to people, you know, interviewing people for this book, and it was kind of like, whoa, I didn't know that would still happen, you know, because you always think kids are generally open-minded. And most of them probably are, but, you know, you get some that aren't. And when you get some that aren't, more join in, you know, and, you know, that kind of that pack mentality.
It's a bandwagoning. Yeah, kids are,
Oh, yeah, you know, they want to fit in, you know, so everyone's picking on this one kid, you know. And it really was distressing to hear all that, So really, a friend of mine read it ahead of time, and she's like, "Did you write this book about the 1950s or something?" Like, well, they all have cell phones. So, obviously not.
Yeah.
I wrote it about now. And there was an incident in Important Ages where, I don't know, did y'all see the YouTube video about that?
I don't think so.
It sounds kind of now.
How long ago?
It's been it's pre-COVID, I think. Yeah, it's pre-COVID because they were in school.
Important Ages has their own unique racial things going on right now.
This is one of them.
Mascots.
Yeah, I think one kid hit another kid in the head, and it was a young African American girl hit a young white girl in the head and told her, "I'm done playing with you. I'm sick of it."
Yeah.
And the other kids filmed it, and they're kind of and that told me is knowing what I know about teenagers is the person that got hit probably had it coming.
Yeah,
And that's what the other
yeah,
kids thought
yeah.
too, but they didn't have the guts to do it. And when you start reading up on what happened, it turned out that kid was getting bullied, and the mom kept going to the principal, and nothing was happening. And
then she got.
Yeah.
And so finally, this girl had been kind of turning the other cheek for a long time, and she just got disgusted because nothing was changing. She was just getting bullied, so she walked in and popped her upside the head. So, "I'm not taking your crap anymore," And so after writing this, I was like, yes. And I don't want any kid to get beat up or nothing.
No.
But it's kind of like, that's what parents tell their kids to do all the time. If you're getting bullied and if they don't stop, you have the right to defend yourself.
Well, I mean, it's situations like that too. It's good for the girl who got busted up her head.
Yeah, some people need their asses kicked.
If you live all your life consequence free, right, then you're not going to be a fully actualized adult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you do things and you get away with them as a teenager, then it's a humongous disservice to you as an adult.
Yeah, because then you're going to do that when you're an adult and go to jail.
Yeah.
So,
Or get shot.
I'm saying this, right? I'm saying this as like, this is a story that I heard about it, just reading up on it. I don't want the parents' kids suing me.
Yeah. No.
Or coming after
they
y'all
probably
for
won't
starting.
even.
No, we don't
They
even
come
know.
at us,
Yeah.
that's fine.
We didn't say no names. We don't know what we're talking about.
And so those things happen, and so I incorporate a lot of that into the book. A lot of the things I saw in reality into the book, and so there's some of the response I've gotten is kind of like, "Hey, I'm glad you're saying this. Glad someone's talking about this and put it in the book." I'm very humble about it because I could have gotten it wrong. And the next book I may get it wrong. And if someone tells me that, I'll listen. I'll definitely want to hear that. But I was really humbled when people reached out to me and said, "Man, I'm really glad you wrote this." And I had several people did. And one person in particular, was telling me the stories of her children. And that their experiences, and it's broke my heart a little to hear what they were going through, because it sounded really like this, and it really made me feel like, man, I thought we had gotten past this, but that's an incredibly naive thing to think. I thought that a couple of years ago.
Kids, color aside, kids are just cruel.
Yeah, they're just mean.
Yeah.
Kids are so mean.
Yeah, they're mean, man.
I always thought kids, I thought I thought kids, the next generation had gotten past this. And I thought, I guess not, I guess they haven't, and kids are mean. Kids, there's always bullies, but when you add the racism to it, it's just, it becomes downright cruel, So I was really humbled to get responses like that.
Yeah.
And people,
So you got a really good response from it in terms of like that. What about like the quantity though? How many people have told you they've read it in the all together?
We're asking for numbers now. Show us the data.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
because you kind of were tight-lipped the most of the time when you were writing it, right? So I was just curious, about like how have you had organic people, like just people stumble upon it organically that don't even know you, stuff like that.
I've had that. I've had people word of mouth recommended to somebody else.
Okay.
I've had all kinds of ways it's gotten out. Just people bought it on Amazon because it was linked to another book. I can't tell you how many I've sold. I can tell you that, probably around 100 so far. I'm thinking
That's
pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's freaking cool.
Combining ebook with the paperback.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
That's That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's the reviews are so far.
I mean, it's not like you
positive,
had like a huge marketing machine behind you. Anything you
Right.
just say,
Yeah.
book's done. Here you
You
go,
know,
guys.
Facebook,
you know,
like, hey, I'll read this. No, seriously, read it. No, seriously, read it.
Please
Come
read
on, read it. I will give you a copy to read if you just read the damn book.
I was reading through it trying to find the author,
yeah.
the publisher, and
Yeah.
there's none.
It's
So I'm-
self-published.
Yeah.
It's called indie publishing.
Yeah.
Like indie music, indie publishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I sall was that it was made in Coppell, Texas.
Well, that's where
Coppell, Texas.
that's where these particular were printed out.
That's where
at.
these were printed
Yeah,
out.
it's print on demand. When you order it, they print it and send it out.
So these are going to be like the ones that are worth a lot of money whenever you're like famous.
I don't know about that. They're worth $14.99 right now, so $15 even. But no, they get printed from various places. I'm not
Okay,
quite sure how
yeah.
it works, but I order.
I'm just really
copies.
fascinated about self-publishing, to be honest with you.
It's pretty easy to do on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or something like that. It's just a matter of getting the format right and uploading it. Now it's a risk.
I mean, you probably spent a lot of time reading up on like this is what it's supposed to look like. You need to have it formatted in this text.
I downloaded some books on that.
Yeah.
On some books on how to prepare your books for Amazon. There's several books on it. One in particular was extremely helpful. That it took you step by step on what to do for formatting your margins, how to do your table of contents, all that stuff. For both paper, because it's different for paperback and ebook. It's completely different. It was a lot of just getting it on Amazon. It wasn't that hard, but there were a lot more steps than I anticipated. But you want to make sure you do it right, so Amazon doesn't pull it back down and say, "Hey, you messed this up."
Yeah. Then you're just like your book's just sitting in limbo.
Yeah, or you're trying to figure out.
Do you have to, as a first time author, do you have to get like vetted on Amazon? Do they? So they.
Anyone can put anything up.
As a first-time author, it seems like there would be some guy that works at Amazon just making sure you're not writing like a sequel to Mein Kampf or something.
You kind of on your own, I guess. I
think they wait for the market to decide on
I
that.
guess they do. Yeah.
What they do, I mean, the way Amazon in the contract you have to agree to before you can publish.
Okay.
They will say if you get enough negative reviews or if it's tagged for any kind of hate speech or anything that, then they will take it down. And send you an email telling you to correct it.
If you get enough negative reviews?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if especially if it's consistent, like this book is loaded with typos or
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So they will do that. They'll and if the more positive reviews you get, the more Amazon promotes it.
Oh, okay.
So
how did you get your book attached to another book? Was it just like in a category or something?
Tag. You just do the right tags.
Yeah, anytime you look up one book, it has like suggested.
The suggested, yeah.
Then it has sponsored, which is like a promotion thing you can pay Amazon to do. Which is, in my opinion, was very useless. I did that for a while.
You did sponsored.
I did this sponsored. Sponsored.
God, I can't only imagine how much that costs.
Yeah, it doesn't cost much at all, to be honest. But it didn't work at all. It's kind of like you get like 22,000 views and nobody clicks on it.
Yeah,
but you only pay every time somebody clicks on it.
Oh,
so you pay per click.
I see. Yeah.
So if no one clicks on it, you don't pay anything.
You don't pay.
Right?
Yeah.
You gotta make now. Then it's all about designing like just a poppy cover or something.
Then it's about getting someone's attention. You know? And so that's the next part of it is getting people to want to click on it. It depends on a lot of things. The cover, it depends on the little description underneath it. The title. I don't know, to be honest, what draws people to something. I'm not a marketing guy, because to me, I love the cover. To me, it's exactly when I talk to the artist. The artist is Mickey Mitchell, by the way.
Yeah, it's on the first page there. I read that it says cover art and illustrations by Mickey Mitchell, and I was like looking for other illustrations. And I'm like, where's the other? Where's the other?
She did some others for me that I put
remember seeing different ones.
Yeah, I put them on the Facebook page for the book.
Okay.
So she did some there.
Just a couple different drawings of the characters and.
Just she had messaged a few of them to me saying, hey, I was just had some downtime, so I was sketching this picture. What do you think? And she did that. So, as a matter of fact, I put together a slideshow of a lot of the pictures that we have for Jett from the first to second book, showing her getting older.
Right.
Set to some music that I'm going to put as soon as we get the final cover.
So, you said the second book's going to come out around September?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that's when this episode's going to come out. How about
Yeah.
That's when what? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Perfect timing.
I mean, that's
All right, cool.
in like 12 days.
Yeah.
So
well,
Yeah.
well, the beginning of September.
the beginning of September. Yeah.
It'll be sometime in September.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, we're still working on the cover. I still have a few more decisions to make about. You know, I went with I used a real editor this time, a professional editor this time. So
What?
you
How
know.
much did that cost?
It didn't not nearly as much as I thought. You know,
It's a smaller book too, right?
yeah.
And the second one's gonna be
it's
smaller.
smaller,
Okay,
yeah. But yeah, the editor, she kept me a really good deal, and she did a really good job, and she gave me a lot of really good feedback. That was extremely helpful.
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
hard to step away
so-
from yourself, you know. When you're writing a book like this, and you know, the more you think about something, the more those pathways in the brain are concreted, and you can
Plus,
get it.
plus you can see all the sides of the story, but you don't know where another reader would be.
You need like a detached opinion.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
times.
They say the same about music. Like, don't mix your own. You can record yourself,
Don't mix
but
it.
don't mix it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you need that outside observation. That's why it's like editing software is really handy for structure and grammar, but sometimes it's I mean, it's not going to be able to give you that, you know, those things for story and stuff like that, and to be able to, it's you know, it's not going to be able to look at this part and be like, do we really need that part? You know, it's kind of it's a loose thread. You know,
True. You know, and it's hard to gauge if it's good or not. Like, I didn't know if this was good or not.
Because you're like, I wrote it.
So it's
like,
good to me.
here it
I
is.
liked it.
I like
you know?
it. Yeah.
I mean, you know, when I put it out there, it was kind of like, here we go. You know, here we go. You know, I didn't know if I was gonna hate it or it's trash. You know, my mom didn't like all the cursing in it. She told me I use the F word too often. You know. You
said, "Mom, watch a Tarantino film." Okay, I have to use it. It's noir. I gotta use it.
You know, she just wouldn't. I mean, she was, but she liked it though. She said she liked it, but it could have been a little less cursing. You know, so I didn't know. I mean, I really had no idea how people were gonna take it.
Yeah.
To be honest, you know, again, you know the gender and racial issues in it. You know, I didn't know how that was gonna go over with me writing it. You know? I just didn't know. I mean, I was kind of nervous about it, to be honest. I was like, I want to make sure I did this right and did it justice. You know. So, excuse me. Sorry, but yeah. Sorry, excuse me.
No
Coach
worries.
Steph.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah, I haven't talked this much in a long time. You know, I've been alone.
You're writing, not talking.
Yeah. But you can't gauge if something's good or not if you write it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to. I gave it to other people to read, and they liked it. You know.
Yeah.
I passed it around to people. I'm like, just give me an opinion on it. Be honest. You know. And whenever someone says you want to be honest, I get a little nervous. Like, is it bad?
Oh, that's good. That's
You
good.
know, and then they'll say, yeah, it's good.
It's hard to get people to. It's hard to get people to do that.
What were some of your criticisms?
I'm trying to do that without
spoilers. Yeah.
Some people didn't like the way I ended the first book.
Oh yeah.
But other people thought it was really good.
You probably ended it in a cliffhanger, didn't you? It's the first one.
Yeah, that's what people say.
Okay, I was about to say you probably.
Yeah, you know,
You're like, find
I
out.
don't like how you wrote the ending where I want to read more and I don't have any more.
Right.
You're like,
You know?
oh yeah, you don't like it? Well, it looks like you're gonna have to read Jett Landry, Urban Legend,
Right.
coming in September.
Yeah. But you know, some people, you know, maybe you went too far at the end. Like, oh well. No.
Too far?
Yeah,
Okay, I
but-
gotta read it now.
Yeah, you know, I got that, you know, but you know, everything that happened was necessary for the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I said. But a lot of the criticism I got, I mean, was really good. I mean, that was one that people were just like, oh, I can't believe you did that. You know? But a lot of the criticism was really good. You know, like you kind of drag here a little bit, or you know, or
Kind of like pacing and.
yeah,
Like
like, I don't understand what this has to do with anything here, you know, or something, you know. But for the most part, it was well received, which made me feel better about it.
Yeah.
You know, people liked it. They would point out things that they liked, especially, you know, like certain relationships between people and that kind of stuff. Things that were frustrating for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but those things were necessarily frustrating.
Yeah.
You know, they were.
Well, yeah, you gotta create conflict.
Yeah, a lot of tension, into it. And, you know, so those things were necessarily frustrating, but people kind of, you know, complained about that a little bit. That's part of storytelling, you know. If everything goes good, it's not a good story.
Right.
You know. Right. So, you know, the second one, I'm going through the same process right now, and I just have to decide.
Yeah, but the second one is about to come out.
Yeah.
So you're probably already writing the third one.
I am writing the third one, yeah.
Yeah.
I started when the second one was with the editor, just like last time I started writing the third one.
Mm.
But I already have the story. I just started actually writing it. I know how the whole thing, the trilogy ends.
You become obsessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might as well be.
You're man obsessed.
Might as well be, yeah.
Yeah,
Like, it seems like every time we talk, like every time I've talked to somebody who's publishing something, it's like, oh, it'll be like 2 years, or it'll be like something like far flung, and it's like, no, it's coming out next week.
I got
it comes out then, and then
I got to set some limits for myself because you can just keep changing things over and over and over and over until it's not, at some point it's like, what's the point of this? You know? It'll never be finished. So at some point you just have to say end, cut.
Yeah,
this is it. Go with it. Deal with it,
absolutely.
You know?
You got to just know when to step away from the canvas.
Yeah. You know, because I mean, I could still be writing this one otherwise.
Yeah,
you know, I could think of things to change.
Just write it into oblivion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So so plans for the future? You got another book coming out? You're gonna do another signing, I guess.
We talked about doing something else at Shabby Antiques for in September. We don't have
for the second.
Or actually for this one.
Oh, for that one too.
Yeah, because a bunch of people bought it that day. And you know, so
we do like a Q&A.
Yeah, they'll all come back and talk about it. You know,
that'd be cool.
That sounds fun. You know, they might know more about it than I do at that point.
Oh, then it's almost like you're book clubbing your own book. You know?
Yeah, right. You know, they were, why did so and so? And like they did do that.
They did that.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I forgot. You know, there's a fun story about Raymond Chandler when he wrote The Big Sleep. When they were adapting it to a script, they called him on the phone and said, you know, and I forget the one of the script writers, but he was a pretty famous writer, you know, and they called him and said, we have one loose end that we can't figure out. Who killed the cab driver? And according to the story, Raymond Chandler stopped and went, I don't know. I don't know. And I don't even know why. You know, he never really figured that out about his book. He just killed off a character and didn't even have an explanation for it. And so they couldn't figure out how to write that into the script. Yeah, you know, it's like,
happens. It's a city.
Maybe I just took a cab that day and the guy was kind of rude, so I wrote him into the book, you know.
It's a rough city, man. It's a rough city out there, dog. I don't know why he did, but...
Well, do you got any other than your book? You got anything coming up? You got anything you want to promote? And just go get the book. Jett Landry.
Get the book on Amazon. Yeah, you know, you can get it as an ebook. Do it.
Link in the description.
Cool deal. Yeah, we can do it as an ebook or you can buy it as an ebook or a paperback. You know, leave a review. You know, if you like it. No, I'm just kidding. Leave a review. If you don't like it too, that's cool. Yeah. You know, be honest.
Yeah.
I want honest feedback.
Do you have a website or a Facebook page?
I have a Facebook page for it. Yeah. Okay. It's Jett Landry, Facebook page, or Jett Landry the Fuse, but it's about to become the Jett Landry Saga Facebook page. I'm going to rename it. And also I have a Twitter for Jett Landry's, for the Jett Landry series, and a Twitter for Stephan.
Okay.
You know, so I have both. I promote off of Twitter. There's a huge writing community on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
Well, I mean the confinement of like the format really seems to like intrigue writers. Yeah, the 250 words. Yeah.
Oh yeah, thousands and thousands of like independent publishers, independent writers. I had a guy give a blogger found the book and reviewed it on Twitter, and he was a writer as well as a reviewer. He messaged back and forth with me. I think it's in Philadelphia. He messaged back and forth with me about it quite a bit. We talked a lot about, you know, the book and the way it was written and everything. Gave me some really good advice.
Yeah,
that's really cool. Yeah,
you know, and what a really
it's very supportive.
Oh, it was great. Yeah. It was really great. You know, and I'd read his reviews, and some of them for other people were like, you know, I hated this book. This book is terrible. I was like, oh God,
he didn't do that to me.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah. That was the cool thing. He texted me one night. Messaged me on Twitter, and he said, I should have been asleep 3 hours ago, but I can't put your book down. What did you do?
That's dope. That's dope. That's awesome.
And that, I'll be honest, that is what people have been telling me about it the most.
Really?
Is they, once they start it, they can't put it down.
That's good.
You know?
That's what everybody wants to hear.
Yeah, I know. It's great, you know? And that comes back to the whole idea that, you know, when you write a book, you know, you want to tell the story, not just get all these, you know, don't get caught up in extra things that don't need to be there.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, you get that stuff out of the book so it doesn't drag people down. They don't get bored or confused, you know.
Yeah.
And you just stick with the story. And that was my goal. I just wrote a book the way I like books, you know.
Yeah.
The kind of books I like to read, you know. So.
Well, you're the third writer we've had on, I believe.
So.
The third, yeah, maybe if we get another one, we might should do an event.
Meet the writer.
Yeah, just cool. I don't know, maybe a mass book sign, you know, maybe. Yeah. I don't know how we do it. We could figure something out. That'd be really cool.
That'd be cool. Yeah. That'd be neat.
Yeah, but it's It's a pleasure to have you. It's a pleasure to have you on. It's a pleasure to have another writer. And as always, what's interesting with this podcast is we know people like you're our friend. Yeah. You know what I mean? I had no idea you were doing this. You know what I mean? I love discovering that people they're out there doing these things. You know what I mean? And this is a third writer. There's so many people in our area that are just doing all the stuff.
Man.
Yeah.
The talents. Yeah, there's a lot of people doing art. Southeast Texas.
Oh, yeah,
people don't realize that there's so much things being created.
Art's picking up a lot. Film seems to be picking up a little bit.
Yeah.
This area is becoming a creative powerhouse once again.
It is, yeah. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks. Yeah. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for coming.
And go get that book, Amazon.
It's right here.
And the link below.
Okay.
Ready when you are. All right, thanks, Stephan. Anyway, go to Amazon.com, look for Jett Landry The Fuse. We'll have the link in the description as well as a link to his Facebook. Go check it out, give him a follow. Just contact him, let him know what you thought about it.
Support your local authors, and like he said, a review is probably the most helpful thing you can do. And we also want to highlight a really cool thing that's happening Saturday, October 3rd. In case you did not know, there is a major shortage of blood right now due to the pandemic that we are living in. And, LifeShare has partnered up with the Museum of the Gulf Coast.
The beginning of the Halloween season.
That's right. So it's
going to be a blood drive.
If you go on by and you give some of your precious life juice to the man, I think there's something in it for Cane's, right? What all's involved in this?
Okay, you get a free Raising Cane's gift card for a box combo at the Mid-County location.
You get a T-shirt.
So you got to get dinner after. You get T-shirt. You get
free admission.
Get 2 passes to the museum, so you can bring a friend that's too scared to give blood, or else you'd have 4.
Yeah, not like that.
And then you get a special presentation by the Snake Education Experience. But go do that.
Appreciate you.
If you're closer to Mid-County,
Yeah, if you're out there, do that. If you are in Beaumont or Hardin County and you would like to help us out on October the 3rd, Saturday, come and help us with the Village Creek cleanup.
Village Creek cleanup.
It's just 2 Stillsby boys over here just trying to do our part.
It's the jewel of our area. It's the lifeblood of the big thicket.
It is. There's like 17 endangered animals that cause Village Creek their home. And if you would like to help us clean it up, we would appreciate you.
Absolutely. And we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna go and see an art exhibit right after. Entwined by Elizabeth P. Fontenot. It's gonna be a great time. If you volunteer there, you can get in because you're technically an art studio volunteer, which is really cool, and you help the environment. So
that's
check that out.
That's right. Remember all that, and we want to give a special, lovely shout out to all of our patrons over on, patreon.com/A2ZBMT. We have, don't dab on our patrons. Don't dab on them because they're the greatest people we know. Special shout outs.
Dab. Destroy all bacteria. Yeah, it's the way. That's how I do it. That's how you should do it. Don't be stupid.
All right, and we want to give a very special shout out to our very special, lovely patrons over on patreon.com/A2ZBMT. These guys keep our lights on. They help us do what we do. And they value us, and we want to show that we value them. So we're going to give them a shout out right now. We have Jordan Stringer, Brian Castino, Doug Waldrop, Michael Sarr, Ben McClellan, Randy Edwards, Allie Gillette,
lovely,
Allison Pierce, Lauren Bebo, Wesley Harden, Jacqueline Stockdale, Damon Rambin, Hannah McMahon, Nicole Tony,
Jesus,
and our newest and most lovely of all, Henry Brown. Thank you guys so much. Like I said earlier, you guys are instrumental in this show.
It's true.
And we could not do it without you. And if you are interested in becoming a Patreon yourself and showing us how much you value us, you can go over to patreon.com/A2ZBMT, where you can pledge a one-time or reoccurring donation of your choice. No pressure. Show will always be free, but know that you have our eternal gratitude.
So next week's episode, A to Z 118, we have a very big announcement, obviously, that we'll be extrapolating upon. And we also have a really cool guest, Blue Broussard.
That's right, old Blue.
Who is the founder of one of Beaumont's newest restaurants.
That's right.
1701 Barbecue.
Hey, did you know that Beaumont's going to become a barbecue mecca soon? Well, guess what? I knew it. And we're going to find out on next week's episode.
You got to check this guy out.
I'm telling you right now, the passion is there.
Oh my God, it's so real.
The craftsmanship is there. The attention to detail is there. And they got the meat.
It's going to be some good barbecue.
It's good stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so come on back now, you hear? You want to hear about some barbecue? You're going to have to tune in next week, I tell you what.
How jealous do you think everybody is that he gave
Oh,
us
dude, they're
plates?
so jealous.
That he
They're
gave
so
us those
jealous that
plates?
we had barbecue.
We had it. We had his.
Everyone
barbecue.
told me. Everyone was like, people were
The
messaging me from
espresso rub,
jiu-jitsu.
dog.
Yeah, they were like, what it
The
tastes like.
espresso rib, dog. Did
Like-
you see the pink? Like I've never seen a
They're
pink
like, bro,
outline go.
just tell me what it tasted like.
It tasted like absolutely.
Some people were even like, hey man, I just want to kiss you on the
It
mouth.
tasted sinful.
They're like, I want to kiss you on the mouth right now so
Yeah.
I know what it tastes
So
like.
I can, yeah.
And I was like, dude, we're in a
My
pandemic.
dog followed me around the house
Yeah.
for like a week.
I was like, I'm not gonna kiss you on the mouth. I'll just spit in your mouth. It's
Yeah.
like, it's the
Jesus
same.
Christ, that's where
So,
we're gonna end it. Right?
I guess. I
We
don't
got-
know.
we gotta cut
I mean,
it
you
off
could
there.
cut it loose. I mean, oh, are we still recording?